Well, looky here, friends. I was going to video out here some projects, and instead my husband is building me this little temporary greenhouse. So we'll see how that turns out, and I will definitely share with you. But on with our projects. Hey, today we are going to plant up this galvanized bucket with some lettuce seeds. And I use a lot of galvanized buckets and tubs. Some are older, vintage ones that are dulled and grayed, and I love that patina in the garden. You've seen me plant up the bushel basket type galvanized tubs that I got at Tractor Supply. I planted them with alliums last year, and then I planted up more containers this year, the rectangles that you can get from Walmart. They're called beverage tubs. And those I planted tulips in this past fall. They haven't bloomed yet, but when they do, I will share that with you. So I'm zone 8A, and even though it sounds like I should have a long growing season, I really don't. Our last frost date is towards the end of May. So it's because I'm in the mountains at a higher elevation, and we can get late snows. But that being said, I can start lettuce right now, and I'm going to do that because it's perfect weather for that. And even if we get some dips into some 30s, it won't hurt them at all. So let's get to planting. So to start off with the tub, I'm going to fill the base of it in here with some unfinished compost. My two composters I built last fall got crushed by that 5 feet of wet snow we got at the end of January. And so instead of moving it, it's still pretty wet, this stuff, this compost, and full of uncomposted material. I'm just going to use it as fillers in a lot of my containers. It works just fine for that because it will continue to compost down. And then by the time I'm ready to plant maybe some annuals in this, after the lettuce, it's gotten too hot for the lettuce or it's bolted, then I can plant other things in here and I can add more soil. Now this I'm adding is just some regular organic potting soil. I think this is Gardeners in Bloom. Any good one will work. I don't bother with seed starting mix. And if you go back to, and I'll link it, a post I did last spring where I compared using seed starting mix and just regular potting soil, it showed that there was no difference in the germination rate of my plants. So let's see, let's get to planting some. This is Garden Baby's Butterhead. It's made for containers. That's a smaller, so I'm going to kind of put it in the center. This one has got like a rouge tips on it. This is Botanical Interests, and Lola Rosa is the technical name for that. Lettuce leaf. It's a leaf lettuce. And then another one that I always have great success with is Black-Seeded Simpson. As I said, I'm starting to get some sun on here. These are older seeds, except for, yeah, this one's 2019, this one's 2016, and this one is 2013. So I'm going to seed more heavily than I would normally. And I want these to kind of grow in a pattern rather than just all throughout. So like I'm going to do the center with these Garden Babies. And if more than a few germinate, I will cut off, and you can eat the little cuttings that you take. So they'll be like baby lettuce. So I'm doing really heavy with this. As I said, there's no waste because what does not germinate will just go and stay there. What does, even if there's too many, will be cut off and used, and then I'll let the last final ones fill in. So the next one is going to be this pink tinged one from Botanical Interest, Lola Rosa. I don't know if that's really what they call it, but it's also an older seed. So So I'm going to do it thickly as well. And I'm just going to go in a circle around this way, around the edges of the butter, the little baby butters, lettuce. And just do that. Probably more than enough, and I'll plant these others in another container. That I'll do similarly. I have another large tub. I already have some lettuce going that I showed in a garden tour video in one of my raised beds I have down in my garden, which I started last winter and covered with a cover, because supposedly you can grow your lettuce through the winter if you have one of those plastic tub covers. I seen that in another video and it just didn't work for me. So anyways, but it did stay alive, and now it's coming up just fine. So I'm all the way around this outer edge. This is the black-seeded Simpson, which is my husband's favorite actually. And it is really a super easy one to grow. So any beginner should try this, as long as it's kept moist and you have the cooler temperatures, it should germinate. And I'm going to press this in. You see how I hadn't firmed it ahead of time, so I'm pressing that in, and then I will come back and sprinkle a little bit on top. Lettuce likes light to germinate, so you don't have to cover very much. And if you want to, you can use vermiculite on top, but it isn't necessary. Vermiculate's kind of expensive. So I'll go get some more potting soil to put on top, and then I'll give it a good cover. I moved the camera a little bit so we were out of the shadows, or casting shadows. But here I have some more of the potting soil, and I'm just going to sprinkle it on top of those seedlings. And firm it in gently. You don't want to press hard. And they should germinate in 7 to 10 days. So let's find a spot in the garden for it. So over by the fence here, nothing has grown up yet. There's seeds starting. And let me go around the other way. I have a lot of stuff set out here. It's getting ready for its true placement. And right here, I have a bit of Monarda coming up there, but this is thick with it, and I don't want it this close to the pathway that I'm putting in. So this would be a good spot for this bucket right now. Now, that's a beautiful thing about buckets is I can move this later and put something else right here in the ground when I'm ready to sow. Like, it'll be another month and I can sow cosmos, so I could put cosmos right here, or something else that I grow from seed, zinnias. I don't plant zinnia seeds out until June because it's just not hot enough here for them to germinate well. And I don't bother starting them inside because I have other things blooming, and it's a later blooming thing for me, and it's blooming at a time when other things are fading away. So I don't need to get them started early. And so I'm going to do some more lettuce tubs because we eat a lot of lettuce, and I'll find spots along in the garden, and it'll green up quick. So it'll provide something along with right here is irises, and right here is more irises, and they'll be blooming pretty, and the lettuce will be blooming right there with them. Not blooming, but sprouting and producing. And then it'll make a pretty spot of green, and I'll share later, because of the different lettuces, it will have a real pretty design in the circles. Okay, I'm gathering up some bricks to put under this one to make sure, well, just to give it a little feet. Let me see, I think 3 would be fine. So I will put this. I'm careful not to step on any seedlings coming up around here. And this back side, put one, and right there, and then I will do one right here. I'm gonna move this. That's rosemary I started. And let's see, do I need to dig that down? I think I dig this one down a little bit. I'm still leaning towards the back, so I can prop this one up a little bit. Give it some. Good enough. Oops. I kicked over this rosemary start. Oops, got a little root, so this should be fine. Nice loose soil. And put it back in there, give it a good water. Should probably put these up or I won't kick them over again. And there we go. All right, another bucket of the compost, unfinished compost. You'll see all the limbs and pieces of material that haven't broke down. In the fall when I'm digging up and moving and what have you, I don't have time to chop it up into little bits. I don't have a shredder, so a lot of stuff stays bigger, so it takes longer to compost down, and that's why you see whole twigs. I'm gonna go get another bucket load, and I think that'll be at the right spot. So get it dumped in there. Okay, this one was much lighter because it's even less composted, but I'll squish it down in there. Makes great filler. Oh, perfect. So then I'm going to dump some compost on top, or not compost, but potting soil. All right, first I'm going to dump in some reused compost soil from a raised bed I moved, and the soil's still there from it. So, and I need to move the soil, so it's a good time to use it as filler. So I would say I have got 3 more inches to go. So I'm going to put the store-bought potting soil on top. And that is going to be that. And that's what I'm going to plant in. So I'm going to do some more of the lettuces, but I'm going to do a ring of radishes around the outside. So I will go get all my seeds and we will start planting up our radishes and lettuce container. So I've got my seeds. Also included in this, not just lettuce and radishes, but I have some slow bolt cilantro. This one's Renee's Gardens, and this one is long-standing cilantro from Botanical Interests. Now let me see which one's oldest. I'll use the one that's oldest first. This one's 2019, and this one's 2016. So I will start with that. Now I'm going to put these in the center, and again, I'm going to plant or sow heavily because it's old seed. And we eat a lot of cilantro, so even the little bits that I would have to thin out, we will eat. I'm going to do it even more thickly because these are really old seeds. And they've been in the greenhouse, which gets really hot. Not the best way to preserve seeds. I will have to cover this with a wire mesh. Doesn't look real pretty beginning, but it keeps the birds from coming in and digging up the seeds. Now here, this is a radish. These are really old seeds. I don't even know if these will work, but these are from 1999. Somebody gave me these and I just stuck them in my bucket of seeds and didn't even look to see how old. But like I said, you would be surprised at how well some of these do. In fact, I had a packet of dahlia seeds from 2019. And almost all of them germinated. I couldn't believe it when I planted them up. Well, actually, I just started them. So again, with the radishes, you can eat the greens, like microgreens, if you need to thin them out. You don't have to throw it away. I'm not going to firm them in yet. I should wait till I get my lettuce seeds planted. Okay, this one's Queen of Crunch. I did not put this in the other one. This one was from last year, and they make nice little round heads. This is from Renee's Garden Seeds as well. So I'm going to put it around the cilantro, leaving space for the black seed of Simpson. I'm sowing heavily because I've got tons of lettuce seeds in my stash, so that way I know I'll get a bunch, even if the birds got in here somehow. So one last one, more black seed of Simpson. I have a roly-poly bug. Go away, roly-poly bug. So getting every last seed out of there. So I'll do the same. I'm going to put a light cover of potting soil on there, press it in, and we will be good to germinate after I water. We're going to put on the final layer of just a little bit of potting soil, just to sprinkle around. Make sure I cover the seeds just lightly. And if I see any seeds peeking through, I'll add a little more. Let me see, add a little more right there. Big chunk. And then I firm it in. This is going to be so much fun to be harvesting lettuce and radishes and cilantro. Lately, the cilantro I've been buying in the store has been completely just flavorless. I don't know what's going on with that. But, okay, I'll give it a good sprinkle of water, both of them. And then, oh, you know what? Let me put a cover on this and I'll show you what I use. So, this is what's called hardware cloth. This is the 1/2 inch. And it's nothing fancy. I just put it on here. Now you can make fancy cloches or cloches, as some people call them, C-L-O-C-H-E-S. And I'll have to use something to kind of hold it down or bend it. There, I can bend it like that. Now this isn't perfect, but it will keep marauding birds from eating the seedlings as they pop up. Some of the birds around here are notorious for that. They love lettuce as much as we do. And I'll get another one for the other container that we planted. So, and that, my friends, is how I plant up my galvanized tubs with lettuce, radishes, and cilantro, and how I give it a little bit of protection. You can use also like, I don't like the tree netting because birds can get caught in it and that can harm them, but you can use like tulle, or there's also other shade cloths that you can put on top to protect it from the birds. But I like this mesh, it works good for me. And you can also do chicken wire. Chicken wire's got a little bit bigger holes. Some of the smaller birds can get through it, but they're not usually the ones that are marauding your containers. And you know, next time up, I'm going to give you a little tour of my secret cottage garden here and see where it's at. This is April 3rd, 2nd or 3rd. And then you'll see it in April, and then I'll do another in May, and you can see the progress through the summer of this area. Alrighty then, I will see you in the next video.